Today's episode is sponsored by Birch Gold Group. Now, before we get into today's show, I want to thank everybody who joined my first holiday giveaway. But in case you missed it, don't worry. The holiday season is not over. We're just getting started. Go to winlarry.com right now. I'll have another giveaway waiting for you. This Christmas, we are so proud to give you something I know many of you have been asking for. That's right. For the first time ever, we are giving away a full subscription to the Epoch Times. You'll get a weekly print paper delivered to your door, plus access to all of the Epoch Times digital content, including Epoch TV, where you can watch my full 1-hour show without censorship. I promise this is going to be one of the best gifts you're ever going to get. Besides, what's a better way to celebrate Christmas than having a reliable source of honest news delivered to your door? So what are you waiting for? Just go to winlarry.com right now. I will announce 3 lucky winners live on my show on December 23rd. Do not wait. Go to winlarry.com right now. That's winlarry.com. The World Economic Forum founder and chair, Klaus Schwab, praised China on Chinese state television. He said, and I'm quoting him, "The Chinese model is a very attractive model," end of quote.
I think we should be very careful in imposing systems, but the Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
What? It would, according to a piece by conservative Scott Powell, mean the end of sovereign states, the end of private property, and the remaking of the economy based on environmental, social, and governance rankings, the replacement of oil and gas with so-called green and sustainable sources of energy, the transformation of agricultural production, the replacement of traditional money with social credit score-linked digital currency, and the requirement of universal health passports. Other than that, and the Epoch Times wrote, Twitter was censoring American citizens at the same time that Chinese intel agents were employed at the company, and officials of the Chinese regime were given uncensored use of the social media platform, according to John Mills, former director of cybersecurity at the Defense Department. Mills said, "This is a de facto social credit system, whether the FBI was calling it or not. And they were handling lists of names to Twitter and seeking the censorship of American citizens, which is unbelievable, unacceptable," end of quote. Joining me to discuss this is expert on China, Gordon Chang, columnist and author of the book, The Coming Collapse of China. Gordon, they employed Chinese intel officials at Twitter? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, this is just outrageous. This is, first of all, a violation of the First Amendment. And maybe it actually does prove that Klaus Schwab is right in that it does provide an attractive model to the Biden administration. So clearly what we have here is a gross violation of everything that Americans hold dear, especially free speech, the core of our democracy.
Gordon, right now in China, there are protests over the draconian lockdowns. It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, the Chinese government has pulled back a little bit.
Well, it certainly has. At the beginning of this month, it essentially repealed its zero COVID approach. And people talk about this as a change of policy, but it's better described, Larry, as a capitulation. It's just that the whole approach failed. The disease was already ripping through China. But also we know that the Chinese people wouldn't put up with it because of these extraordinary protests that began at the end of October, but especially picked up after the November 24th fire in Urumqi. And we know that local governments could no longer afford all of this contact tracing and quarantine. Plus, the zero COVID policy was really destroying the Chinese economy, which right now is contracting. So Beijing just threw up its hands. And so therefore, we now have a country which is crippled by a disease that is just ripping through not only Beijing, but throughout the rest of the country as well.
Gordon, I think I know the answer to this next question. Is your book available to Chinese citizens? Can people read your book there?
It has been actually sold in the Beijing airport, people have told me, but clearly not now, especially under Xi Jinping, who's clamped down. I mean, it was never on the approved list. I know that Premier Zhu Rongji actually read the book and used the word, which I can't repeat on your show to describe it. But, people in China know about it. And matter of fact, I have to say that people in China were talking about the failure of the Communist Party long before I wrote the book. So I can't claim any novelty in this, but clearly the Chinese people knew that their system was unsustainable.
So we don't think anytime soon Sony's going to turn your book into a movie.
Not one available in the People's Republic of China, but of course the People's Republic of China may not exist for very much longer. So yeah, Larry, don't expect the Communist Party to be backing the book.
Will the lack of a red wave during the midterms lead to a more emboldened Joe Biden? More wasteful government spending? Higher taxes? How will you protect your hard-earned savings from the reinvigorated left? The answer? Gold. Gold is the world's oldest, most proven form of currency. It's there for you when inflation soars, when other assets go sideways. And that's why Birch Gold is so thrilled to introduce a new product that reimagines gold as currency, the Gold Back. This month, you'll get a free gold back for every $5,000 purchase when you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a precious metals IRA with Birch Gold by December 22nd. Birch Gold will help you own gold and silver in a tax-sheltered account. Visit LarryForGold.com to claim your free info kit on gold. Then talk to one of their precious metal specialists. Plus, with every purchase you make before December 22nd, you're going to get a free gold back. This is a great stocking stuffer just in time for Christmas. Once again, visit LarryForGold.com. That's LarryForGold.com. Protect your savings with gold today. Finally, Gordon, I want to talk to you about the House now being taken over by Republicans and the prospect of hearings on the origins of COVID. Assuming there are hearings, what are we going to learn?
I think we're going to learn that the Biden administration purposefully decided not to inquire into the origins. You know, Biden had 5 video and phone calls with Xi Jinping, and then he had the in-person meeting, his first and only so far, with Xi Jinping in Bali at the G20 last month. And at none of those 6 occasions did Biden ask about the origins of COVID. And, you know, people may say, well, you know, the origins of COVID, that's like more than 2 years ago. But it's really relevant. And the reason is we know that Chinese technicians and scientists are working on what they call specific ethnic genetic attacks. In other words, attacks caused by pathogens that will leave the Chinese immune and sicken and kill everybody else. So the next disease from China will be a civilization killer. Xi Jinping knows that he deliberately spread COVID-19. He knows no one's imposed a cost on him. So we need to establish deterrence because this is a matter of our national survival to make sure that Xi doesn't spread the next disease.
Gordon, when you say he deliberately spread it, are you saying that it wasn't a lab leak, that it was intentional?
We don't have 100% visibility where SARS-CoV-2 came from. I mean, I believe that it was a leak of a biological weapon from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. But there is some doubt about that. But there is something that we have no doubt about, Larry, and that is that Beijing, once this disease got out into the Chinese population, however that happened, that they decided to spread it beyond its borders. So in December 2019 and January 2020, at a critical time, they lied about contagiousness. They told the world it was not transmissible human to human when they knew that it was highly transmissible. And then while they were locking down their own country starting in January, they were then pressuring other countries, especially the United States, to take arrivals from China without travel restrictions or quarantines. You put those two things together, and there is only one conclusion you can come to, and that is China deliberately spread this disease beyond its borders. That's like 1,090,000 Americans who have died from this disease, and it's 6.6 million people outside China who have died from a disease that should have never left China.
Gordon, did Dr. Fauci have a hand in what's called gain-of-function research?
Absolutely. And you don't have to take my word from it. There are 2 published papers, one scientific papers, one from 2016 and the other from 2017, by researchers from the Wuhan Institute of Virology that describe gain-of-function research. And both of those papers specifically acknowledge that they got funding from the National Institutes of Health, specifically the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. In other words, Fauci's institute at NIH. So I don't know what Fauci was talking about last year when twice he told the Senate that he did not fund gain of function at Wuhan. Either he didn't know what his funding was from his own institute, or more likely, he committed perjury twice. He should be prosecuted.
Gordon, I was going to ask you, beyond perjury, do you think he committed crimes?
I don't know if it was exactly a crime, but let me tell you what he did. And that is, in 2014, the Obama administration wisely instituted a moratorium on gain-of-function research in the United States because Obama felt this was far too risky to be conducted. So what Fauci did was he outsourced gain-of-function research through the EcoHealth Alliance to the Wuhan Institute. And although that may not technically be a crime, at least a federal crime, it is what is the origin of the coronavirus infections. And clearly, Fauci is responsible for all of these deaths around the world, because without his funding, this probably would not have occurred.
Mm-hmm. Last question, and this time it really will be the last question, Gordon. You wrote a book called The Coming Collapse of China. China did not collapse on the timetable that you anticipated, but do you think the collapse is nearer now than ever before?
I think it's quite near. Now, I have to say that in 2001, I wrote a book predicting the failure of the Communist Party in 10 years. So I am about the last person in the world to ask this question because I've been wrong. I have to say in my own defense, I didn't anticipate the 2008 downturn, which really strengthened Chinese communism. But Put that aside for a moment. Right now, we are seeing the failure of the Communist Party to exert its will in society. We were talking about the repeal of zero COVID. When Xi Jinping was getting his third term as General Secretary of the Communist Party in October at the 20th National Congress, yes, he was cementing his role over the party, but at that time, the party was losing its grip over Chinese society. And it was doing it at a time where the Chinese economy is contracting, where the property market is collapsing, where the Chinese people are just not happy. So you see all the conditions for regime failure. They are there. I think that'll occur early, but as I said, I'm not necessarily a great guide for the timing. But the point is, we have to be prepared for what could be the biggest crisis in history.
Gordon Chang, as always, thank you very much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate it.
Finally, I strongly recommend you avoid hiring this gentleman.
Have you ever worked a 9 to 5, or will you? Or do you work a 9 to 5?
Yeah.
And
I sue every job I get. Okay. Yeah. What I do, I go on the job. I've sued Singular before, AT&T. I got $40,000 out of them in 2006, July 6, 2006, for race discrimination and sexual harassment. Quid quo pro sexual harassment. Just was cracking jokes on the job. Right? So what I did, I went and learned employment rights. My last 2 jobs, I got $10,000 out of that one through OSHA and got another $10,000 through OSHA. So what I do, I go find a job because I know they got go be violating safety violation. So I'm going to go complain about safety violation. I know some supervisor go get mad about me complaining and start retaliating against me. Then I'm going to make a call to OSHA and say, hey, they unsafe over here. And then I'm going to let them know, yeah, I'm the one called OSHA. And they go with me. And then I'm going to make them pay me $10,000 for retaliation. I get them every time. I get them every damn time. I get the warehouse job. I work for a gun distribution company. I got they. Yeah, I'm a bad with suing jobs.
So you go in there knowing you about to get a job.
If know I'm going to go get a job, they already know I'm the slip and fall. I'm talking about I got a 100% success rate in suing every job I done worked for, either through the EEOC or through OSHA.
I bet after this video, employers are going to be lining up to hire this gentleman. And then there's LA City Councilman Kevin DeLeon, who added the D to his name. One of 4 Democrat Hispanic leaders caught on tape using racial epithets against blacks, whites, Jews, gays, even Mexicans. One of the 4, a union leader, promptly resigned, as did one other member of the LA City Council. Another member lost his bid for re-election and is out of office at the end of this month. But Mr. DeLeon has steadfastly refused to resign, and some of his constituents are not pleased.
Resign, Kevin! Resign, Kevin! What are you doing?
And that brings us to meme time. Now, here's what I tweeted. If Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, and Elon Musk were walking down the street and you gave the average American lefty a gun with 2 bullets, the lefty would put both bullets in Elon Musk. Elon Musk's mother wasn't happy with the tweet and said I should apologize. Elon Musk, however, understood the joke, that I was attacking the American left for their hateful intolerance, and he said so to his mother. It's fine. Furthermore, he said, they would miss me. Now remember, you can always call the show, 888-971-7243, 888-971-SAGE. And remember, we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.